He'll keep it in. Side of the net, Teravainen out in front. Chance for Drew. The score! Drury threw it out in front. Noesen crashed the net. And Carolina has taken a 3-2 lead.
And welcome to the Canes Corner podcast. I am Adam Gold. Wow, that was an inauspicious start. Was it not? It has been that kind of a night. Don't know where the voice is going. Hopefully, it's back by tomorrow. Anyway, good win for the Hurricanes. This might keep us here briefly tonight. We're brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hannon and his crew do a great job. You should check them out for all of your exterior home improvement needs. So that was a fun night, if for no other reason than the Hurricanes won the hockey game. It was a weird game, too. We're going to run through a couple of things that I've just jotted down to talk about. Maybe sometimes some things we don't normally get to. But I do want to talk about, obviously, the game and the fact that Carolina won it somehow. I want to go through quickly some of the goals, and then maybe pay a little homage to one of Carolina's most important player that people like to pretend isn't. But I thought he was excellent tonight. But I thought Carolina had a lot of good performances. And I think there was some, it was almost born out of desperation, I think, for the Hurricanes tonight. Because the Hurricanes offense really hasn't been there for a while. I mean, they could have scored a bunch of goals against Florida. Both teams could have and should have. But nobody did because the goaltenders were out of their minds. But Carolina wasn't good offensively. They didn't, connect offensively against Dallas, and obviously they weren't good enough against Buffalo. Played a good 8 minutes, I thought. But tonight, Carolina just kind of figured it out. Because, again, I didn't think they were great offensively, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Anyway, so let's go through the goals real quick. Not the goals, the periods real quick. Because this is kind of the weird thing about the sport, right? And I don't know if it's one of the things we love about it or hate about it. I just recognize it for what it is. It's weird. Sometimes hockey is stupid. But I don't think Carolina dominated the first period by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think they were the better team and yet trailed 2-1. What was the reason for that? Well, they had some guys didn't play well in the first period. That's for sure. Jack Drury failed to get a puck out, kind of fanned on a clearing attempt, and the puck stayed in the zone. And ultimately, Connor Duar, put Carolina on the rocks. Does anybody get it? And and it was 1-0 Minnesota. I mean, that puck's got to leave the zone. You count up how many times pucks stay in when they shouldn't, and how often they end up behind your goalie. It was a problem. Anyway, so that was the first goal. Then Carolina caught a break on the second goal, a Jacob Slavin drive after Jordan Staal won a faceoff, one of the many faceoffs he won tonight. What he won, 16 faceoffs, 17 faceoffs? Crazy. But he wins the faceoff and then gets to the front of the net. Jacob Slavin takes a shot, hits Jordan Martinook in the rear end, and Stahl's right there for the rebound and backhands it over Philip Gustafsson, who was great tonight. And that was Carolina's first goal. But they were better than Minnesota. They were really good until Teuvo Teravainen took the offensive zone penalty. Then the power play kind of flipped momentum. And then for about 4 minutes, Minnesota was the better team. But then Carolina got back on it. And then right before the end of the period, Brett Pesce, I don't know what he was doing. He was just kind of, was it being a cardboard cutout of Brett Pesce? I don't know. And Brandon Duhaime just went right by him, flying. And that zone entry led to the Jonas Brodin shot from the point, which looked like it might have been deflected. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. I don't think Kochetkov ever saw it. And it's 2-1. So goals like that from distance are just annoying. No other way to put it. Second period, Carolina was terrible. Awful in the second period. But there were enough desperation plays defensively just to appreciate what you could do. Like, and how Carolina can be so good at not just keeping the puck out of their net, but how great they can be keeping a team like Minnesota away from great scoring chances. For as bad as Carolina was in the period, Minnesota had just 2 great scoring chances. In other words, a shot in close. They had plenty of opportunities to score, but they didn't take the good opportunities and make them great because Carolina got in the way. Brett Pesce with a diving play after a tough first period. Brett Pesce with a diving, lays out, stick on the ice to break up a 2-on-1. Jalen Chatfield did that twice. Seth Jarvis did it. Marty Necas did it. There was a lot of desperation defending, I thought, in the second period especially, because that could have gotten ugly in the second, because Minnesota right now is flying. So they scored 2 goals tonight. They had, in the last 14 games, they had 6 games where they'd scored at least 5 goals, 7 where they scored at least 4, and one of them they scored 10. So their offense is clicking right now. But you know who didn't get on the score sheet tonight? Kirill Kaprizov. You know who didn't get on the score sheet tonight? Joel Eriksson Ek, Matt Boldy. Those guys, the guys who have been filling it up lately, didn't get on the score sheet tonight. Some of that is Jordan Staal. Some of that is, honestly, the Aho line had them a little bit. But for the most part, that was the Jordan Staal experience. Not a ton, not all the time, probably 60% of it. But it was a really good desperation defensive performance. Slavin was great, Burns was great, Skjei was great, Chatfield was dynamite tonight. So anyway, that was the second period. Carolina was lucky to get the goal at the end, because it really wasn't a great shot by Andrei. He barely got it, but it got underneath the pad of Gustafsson, and it kind of caromed in. They all count for the same, right? So Carolina scored that goal. They had the Jordan Staal goal that really was for primary assist to Jordan Martinook's ass. I think it was his rear end, might have been his back. It just sounds better if I just say it was an ass pass. And then the final goal goes off Stefan Noesen's face. I mean, it's the kind of a game where you go, all right, maybe we're just supposed to win. But at least the third period, I thought, it more represented what Rod Brindamore wants to see, I think, than the other 2 periods. So I thought it was Carolina's best period. I know there were more chances. They were more offensively dangerous in the first, but I think the third was their best period. And they win the third. They win it 1-0. The first period, they lost 2-1, better team. Second period, they won 1-0. Minnesota was the better team. Third period, closer to even, but I liked the period more because of the way Carolina went about it, and you get a win. And the 2 points are important. Philadelphia also won, so Carolina maintains a 7-point lead. I keep saying this. I'm not going to talk about the top of the division. We're only going to talk about the thing that really matters first, and that is making sure you don't finish below second. And with Philadelphia beating Tampa earlier tonight, Carolina needed a win to keep pace. They are 7 points ahead of the Flyers with a game in hand. That's good. I think Carolina's got one more game left with Philadelphia this year. Win that, you're probably in great shape. New Jersey is playing now out west against San Jose. And if they don't win that, Lindy Shouts to my friend Lindy Brown. He knows who he is. If the Devils don't win that, Lindy Ruff's going to get fired. You know, it's funny. The beginning of the year, when everybody was heaping praise on Carolina, but also on the Devils, my one thought, my lingering thought, and I can't document this. You're going to have to take my word for it. My one lingering thought was, are we putting this much trust in Lindy Ruff? Really? Okay, not that he's not a good coach, but Lindy Ruff is, I don't know, what year is this? I'm not sure Lindy Ruff is the right coach for today. Anyway, Devils have not been able to find anything this year. Anyway, so Carolina's maintains a pretty good cushion for second place in the Metropolitan Division. All right, the goals tonight. The Jordan Staal goal, fortunate, right? We just have to admit it. It was kind of a lucky. It was a lucky break. The Jacob Slavin shot that gets blocked by Jordan Martinook falls right to Jordan Staal, and you were having a hard time at that point solving Philip Gustafson. He was so good. The save he made on Brady Skjei in the first period was just phenomenal. But he was also just very solid. He was always in great positions, which I thought Kochetkov was too tonight. Second goal, we talked about it. It was a neutral zone. We'll just say 50-50 puck that Carolina got. Ultimately, Staal brings it into the zone, gets it to the middle of the ice to Jarvis. Great pass over to Svechnikov. Again, not a great shot, but it goes underneath the inside of the right pad, caroms off the inside of his leg and in. And it's 2-2 right before the end of the third period, the end of the second period. And it's one of those things where, man, we just stunk for almost the entirety of the 20 minutes, and we drew even. It has to give you some confidence going forward. They've been looking for a break. I guess you have to assume that a shot that goes in off somebody's face is a break. Second face goal in the Rod Brindamore era. Shouts to Justin Williams and Brett Pesce, whose slap shot hit Williams in the mouth and in the jaw, I guess, and went in. And I keep teasing Brett about this. It isn't so much that the puck went in off Justin Williams' face. It actually was like a cheekbone. Didn't hit him in the mouth. Hit him in the cheekbone. But Justin Williams came back and finished the game. Got to work on your shot, Brett. That's all I got to say. All right. I don't know how many of you listen to the Two Robbies podcast. I'm a fan. Robbie Musto, Robbie Earl do Premier League on NBC, USA, NBC, Peacock, whatever. And they do a podcast where they just talk about what happened that week in the Premier League, and they always give an underappreciated player. And I'm going to give my underappreciated player tonight, I apologize for this, to Jordan Staal. We talk about so many great players, or this guy's great, this guy's great, this guy's great, and we almost never talk about Jordan Staal for being great. But he's great. And think about his job tonight. Playing against, for the most part, because remember, John Hines controlled the matchups. And the way Eriksson Ek and Boldy, and especially Kaprizov, can skate, that was going to be a hell of a matchup for Jordan Staal. And look who's on the score sheet twice, and look who isn't on the score sheet at all. So it's a matchup that could have certainly backfired against the Hurricanes, although it wasn't by their choice. Although Rod Brindamore might have put the captain on that line anyway. But it was clear that John Hines thought, yeah, our speed will take advantage of their best defensive line and we'll make it look bad. And that never happened. That doesn't mean that Kaprizov and Eriksson Ek weren't on the game. They were. They're going to get chances. But interesting, isn't it? It's the way the sport works. So Staal wins, I don't know, 15 out of 19, 17 out of 21. It was something crazy like that. 70, get the face-off number here in a second. He won 71.4% of his face-offs tonight. That's good. I'm fairly certain. Might have been 15 out of 21. 15 out of 21 sounds right. Either way, tremendous night in the face-off circle. A goal and an assist. He had the assist on the Svech goal, and then he had his own goal. And again, for much of the night, he's matched up against Kaprizov and Eriksson, who's a dynamite player. Wow, what a good player he is. And Matt Boldy, another really good young player. So I just wanted to mention how good he was. And I initially gave him my 3rd star. And in retrospect, I should have given it to Jalen Chatfield. So I rescinded it on the aftermath. But you can make cases, honestly, you can make a case for Staal. You can make a case for Chatfield. I had Jarvis as the best player in the game tonight. And I thought he was excellent. But I also thought Slavin and Burns and Skjei were all excellent. So I was that whole thing kind of impressed me tonight. I loved the way those guys all played. And there were a lot of good efforts. I thought what was interesting to me about especially the 3rd period was how a couple of guys built games tonight where there were none early. And that's a Trip Tracy phrase, and I like to use it because I think it's accurate. Or just a cool way of saying they got better. They turned it around. But I want to shout out Jack Drury, who I thought had a bad first period and didn't turtle, didn't go into a shell, which I guess is the same thing, but got better progressively throughout the game. 3rd period, Rod changed his lines. And he went to Aho, Jarvis, and Bunting. And you had the Staal line was Staal, Martinook, and Fost, which I'm just going to guess is going to maybe stay together for a little bit just to kind of settle things out. Maybe put Seth Jarvis in a more offensive role. Although I like that line on both ends of the rink. Staal with Martinook and Jarvis. So you had the Staal line out. Then you had Kochetkov with Svechnikov and Necas, which was a big line. That line was together for a little bit last year. And then you had Drury with Noesen and Teravainen. Midway through the period, Rod actually flipped Drury and Kochetkov again. So it was Drury playing with Svechnikov and Necas. And that line had a lot of Kirill Kaprizov. That line. So I thought that was an impressive 3rd period from that group. I know we spend a lot of time giving Marty Necas a hard time for not managing the puck well, for being too fancy, for all of the things that he is. It's okay to give him his flowers for the way he is playing right now. Because he's always going to be a noticeable offensive force because of the way he skates. And when he's playing with confidence and he's skating this well, it just looks faster. But the dude competed in his own end tonight again. And this is the part of his game that he's got to keep doing it. And it takes him to another level. And a couple of years ago, I had him all but traded to Arizona. They hung on. He had a very good year last year. A better first 3 quarters than the last quarter in playoffs. which must change. But he had a very good year last year. And he's quietly putting together a very good year this year. And I believe he's just over a point a game since coming, I think it's 16 points in 15 games now since coming off the injured list. Or not the injured list, since coming off an injury. He was out for a few games. So he's starting to get the way this team needs him to play. Can he keep it up? I don't know. I just don't know. But this Martin Necas is worth all of your time. I just wanted to mention that for him. Kochetkov was excellent again tonight. So, not that these numbers mean everything, because they don't. Anybody notice his save percentage now? This is not just save percentage over the last 12 games or whatever it is since his start in Ottawa, which I believe his save percentage is nearly 940 since then. It's over 930 since the start in Ottawa. I don't know how many saves he had tonight. Let me look at it real quick. I can get you the total number of saves he had tonight. 28 saves, 30 shots, 28 saves. So that's pretty good. But he is now, I'm just going to guess here. Save per, yeah, I mean, he's probably at about 912 on the season. So for how long was he under 90%? And now he's at about 912. 912, 913. Just kind of estimating here, but it's an incredible turnaround. I talked to Rod Brindamore before the game, and I said, like, I know you're never surprised by anything, but if I had told you that from the Ottawa game on, your goaltending would be among the very best in the league, then this is just team goaltending. This is not just Kochetkov. This is team goaltending. So Carolina's save percentage since that game in Ottawa in December is 910. Now, that might not sound great to you, but it's fifth best in the NHL. A 910 save percentage is fifth best in the NHL. Carolina's save percentage as a team is a shade, just barely over 90%. But that's all right. It's not. Remember where they were, for how long they were, like in the 860s and 870s. Because that's the truth. And now the numbers have turned around. So Carolina went from having arguably the worst goaltending in the sport to now, today, the way it's performed, and this is not really small sample size. This is now the last 32 games. The Hurricanes have top 5 NHL goaltending. We didn't see that coming. Nobody saw that coming. So, is it a house of cards? Is it going to drop just because it has to? I mean, I guess. I mean, nothing has to, but yeah, I can see there being a reversion to the mean. But right now, it's not just Kochetkov, because you got this Spencer Martin character playing great too. And even though it's been a while and he's hurt, and he's really had some tough moments this year, Antti Raanta has a way of stacking wins. So just a really good turnaround, and really everything is built off of it. Even if your goaltending isn't spectacular, if it's just solid night in and night out, it just makes the rest of your game easier. I don't think that's a coincidence that Carolina plays better. I mean, plays better when their goaltender is playing better. It has to work hand in hand. One thing before I shut this sucker down, and I'll look through some of the comments here. I didn't mention the other guy who rallied. My fault. Can I just give a little bit of praise to Brett Pesce, who really, really struggled at the beginning of the game, and he was on the ice for both goals. But boy, from the second period on, he was a different player. First period was a nightmare. But from the second period on, he was excellent. And Carolina's blue line just was so good tonight. So good tonight. They had to be because there was some ugliness from time to time, especially in the second period. So good for Pesh. I love the fact that both he and Drury really turned their games around the rest of the way, especially in the third period. Just absolutely dynamite. So let me give you one more thing. By the way, shouts to, let's see who it is. Vince, who is in, do you have to say sunny Hawaii? Can't I just assume? I'm going to assume you're in Hawaii, especially since it might still be light there. What is it? No, probably isn't light there. It's 10 minutes to 7. But if you're in Hawaii, I'm going to assume it's sunny. There you go. But aloha right back to you, Vince. Let's see what else we've got. Does Pesce look really scrambly to anyone? I think in the first period, he was bad. I don't know about scrambly, like an egg. But I thought from that point on, I thought he was excellent. I really do. I thought he was dynamite. And I know people love Tony DeAngelo. I love Tony DeAngelo. But Tony's not going in for any of the top 5, barring an injury. If we have an injury to the top 5, Tony will go in. But the only person Tony would draw in for would be Jalen Chatfield. And the Jalen Chatfield that played tonight is not coming out of the lineup. So, how happy is my guy Mikhailov out in Adelaide? How happy is Tony D with his role in the Canes? Not happy at all. Wants to play, like all these guys want to play. Heck, Teuvo Teravainen is unhappy playing on a fourth line, like he's been the last few games. Jesper Fast wasn't happy going back to play on that line to when was it? To start the game. Hey, guys want to play. It's why you play. It's why you do this for a living. Now they all understand. I think Tony has been fantastic as a teammate, and it just shows you how much he cares by the way he played the last 4 games. Tony was excellent for the last 4. I mean, they protected him. They kind of sheltered him a little bit in terms of trying not to expose him defensively. But I was talking to somebody about it, and the notion that this might be a showcase for a trade. Now, I'm not saying Tony DeAngelo isn't going to get traded. If somebody came to Carolina with an offer, they might consider it, might even do it. But if they were showcasing Tony DeAngelo over the last 4 games, wouldn't he have gotten power play time? Because there's only 2 reasons that a team wants Tony. One, he's not a disaster defensively, and he was good for these 4 games. But the real reason you go out and get Tony DeAngelo is you think he can help your power play. But Carolina, even in these 4 games, wasn't even using him with the man advantage. Brent Burns still worked with the first unit. Brady Skjei still worked with the second unit. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to trade Tony DeAngelo. I don't think they're going to make any significant trades. We can sit here and go through every roster and come up with a player or 2 that might fit what Carolina needs, a player that might have a year or 2 left on a contract. I don't know. I'm not optimistic they're going to make some kind of big deal. I do think they need some more scoring, but primarily they need that more scoring because of our final topic here. Anytime. Sebastian, I know Andrei scored tonight. Andrei and Teravainen. Guys, they need you. They need you to be great. They need you to be threatening every single shift. It just hasn't been there the last handful of games. It's got to get back to it. But knowing what we know about the three of them, they will. I think we've seen good signs from Teravainen of late anyway. He got the secondary assist on the Noesen face goal. So, anyway, it was very cool. Good for the Canes to get this win. Philly won. The Devils losing? Hold on. I'll tell you. We have to check the scoreboard. I mean, we're live. Doesn't matter. When you watch this back, or if somebody does watch it back, it's not going to make a ton of sense to people. No, the Devils are leading in San Jose. They're not losing to San Jose. Penguins are losing in Vancouver. That's very losable, obviously. But I assume the Devils will win that game. But Flyers in third place remain 7 back. Carolina's got a game in hand. That's who you got to stay in front of first. All right. If it's for the I'll start this over. We are brought to you by the Aluminum Company of North Carolina. If it's for the exterior of your home, you can find it at the Aluminum Company of North Carolina on Hamlin Road in Durham. No place like it. Sammy Hanna and his crew do a great job. You should check them out for all of your home improvement needs on the exterior of your home. I mean, they ain't hanging light fixtures for you. But they'll do home improvings on the outside. Windows, siding, doors, roof, gutter helmets, awnings, railings, all of that. They do great stuff. And the best customer service in the industry. All right, until Thursday, when I'll have my voice back, and the Hurricanes will take on the Columbus Blue Jackets, who beat the Rangers the other day. All right, don't sleep on them. You never know. Anyway, have a great night. This has been the Canes Corner podcast. Rate us, review us. Let us know what you think. Hit me up on Twitter at agoldfan, and we'll talk to you Thursday.